Seamless Instagram carousels became insanely popular over the past year, partly because Instagram usually hypes all its new features. And honestly, it's a really fun feature to play with. All the accounts I know of who usually use seamless carousels have their contents blown up, and Instagram is rewarding them with tons of engagement. In this video, I'm going to share with you how to create beautiful Instagram carousels in 2 different styles. Let's get going. So now the question is, why would you want to create seamless Instagram carousels? Well, the first thing I can think of is, it is much more interesting to look at than your standard carousels, which are just a collage of images without any real connection. The second reason is, it would usually increase your engagement since you provide your followers with more interactive ways to explore your content as they slide to discover more images or videos. And finally, it feels like a story, right? So your audience will most likely stick around to the end because they want to see how the whole story plays out. And Instagram will reward you for making them stay on the app much longer. For this tutorial, we are going to be using Photoshop, but the same principles will work for any other design app like Canva, InDesign, Illustrator, and even Pixar on your phone. In creating Instagram carousels, the first thing you need to understand is the image dimension on Instagram. There are 3 main types of dimensions on Instagram. The first being 1:1 or simply 1080 by 1080 ratio, which is your standard square frame. The second is the 4:5 or 1080 by 1350, which is your standard portrait frame. And the last is 1.91:1, which is your standard landscape images. Instagram will only allow you to upload up to 10 images or videos into a single carousel post, and all these images will be formatted to take the shape of the very first image. You cannot mix all 3 sizes into one carousel. You have to pick one standard size and roll with it. So like I mentioned before, I'm going to show you how to create 2 different styles of this carousel. You can take these styles as inspiration and invent your own afterwards. I'm also going to include a free template so you can use the one I've created for you to make your slides in case you want to speed up your workflow. The first style is really popular on pages that share a lot of information or educational content to their audience. Chris Do does a lot of this on his channel. He even shares other people's carousels on his channel as well. They usually look something like this. The second is usually seen on pages of photographers, cinematographers, influencers, or Instagram shops, and they also usually look something like this. Now let's jump into Photoshop and make some magic. For the first version of this Instagram carousel, here's an example of what you're going to create. Now that you're in Photoshop, the first thing you're going to do is to create a new canvas. To do that, head up to the top, look for File, click New, and this should appear. We're going to use the square version for this, but you can change it to use any of the other dimensions I mentioned earlier. So I'm going to enter the width, which is 1080 by the height 1080. I keep the resolution at 300 to make it very sharp, and we've created it. Now that you have this background, you're about to start designing. The first thing you'd want to pay attention to is to make sure that your background color is very consistent throughout the number of artboards you're going to create, or rather the number of slides you're going to use. In my case, I'm going to use 7 slides, and I want my background color to be green. So I'm going to go down here, and I've already selected the green that I want, but you can pick any color you want. Use the shortcut option plus delete. That will fill in the main color with the foreground color right here. So now that I have this, it's about time I add in my fonts. So now that you have this, you would have to add in your basic information, which will run throughout all the slides. This will be your Instagram handle, the title of the carousel or the series you're doing, maybe your website or any information you think is relevant and has to appear on every single slide. So I'm going to put mine in like this. So I'm going to put my basic information in like that and drag it where I want. I had already copied my information onto my clipboard, and in your case, you'd have to type it down manually. So now I'm ready to start. Maybe I'm going to add my logo in there. So now that I have my base template, what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate it. To do that, you have to click on the name of the artboard, so that's artboard 1. Then you have these 4 corners that would apply. You just have to hold Alt Option and click the plus sign. When you hold Option and click the plus sign, it's going to duplicate the exact same thing. However, if you don't hold Option, it's just going to create an empty layer. That is not what you want. You want to duplicate the first thing so you don't have to recreate it over and over again. So hold Option on your keyboard or Alt if you're using the Windows and click it. Do the same thing, the number of times or the number of slides you want to create. In my case, I'm creating 7. So artboard 1 of 7. So I have 7 artboards here and I'm done. The next thing I'm going to do, which is very important, is to close all the gaps. So like that, I just hold the name and drag them together. Sometimes I'm going to zoom right in to make sure that it's actually closed. So there's a little bit of gap there. So you gotta make sure that you have to zoom in. Do the same thing for this one as well. Something you want to pay attention to when designing is the message, the colors, the type of images you're using. You'd have to keep everything very consistent. So I'm going to drag and create my typeface. This is where I'm going to have my major message. And let's call this thing top 5 mistakes in logo design you should avoid. But now, since I want to create emphasis on what you're seeing, I'm actually going to make mistakes a different color. So I'm going to highlight over mistakes and pick a color for my swatch. So let's do yellow. Yeah, I think yellow looks good. So now you know that mistake is one word that you're going to look at. So top 5 mistakes in logo design you should avoid. Now let's add some images that will make it look fun. Now that we're done with the title for the first page, to make it look more interesting and catch people's attention, maybe I'm going to add an image. So let's find an appropriate image that can go with the title. So I downloaded this thing off Envato Elements. It's a huge cross sign. It has the red color, which is very alarming, and it has an X sign, which is just sort of says, don't do this. So I'm going to drag that and put it right here in the corner. So now this looks rather interesting. The color combination is great. Now let's go on to the next one. So what I'm going to do now is to just copy and drag the text over to the next style. So I'm going to click on the text, hold Option. You're going to notice that the mouse head becomes 2, a black and white that signifies the copy. So click and drag it all the way to the other side. Hold Shift. So when you're dragging, everything is in a straight line and you don't move it. You need to keep everything as consistent as possible. So let's drop it here. And now let's enter the very first mistake. So let's say the first mistake would be, let's say going in blind, I guess. Yeah, because you wouldn't want to design going in blind. So select it, make it yellow. So you're putting emphasis on the blind. Again, repeat the same thing. Find an image that sort of has a lot to do with blind. So I got these glasses that I think look cool. I'm going to put the glasses right here like this. And I'm going to make sure that part of the glasses overlaps into the second image, and you're going to see why pretty soon. So now that we're done with the second one, let's go to the third one. Just drag it over again, like what I did. Hold an Option, click and drag. Let's go to number 2. Number 2, change the name. Number 2 should be, let's see. Okay, let's do this. Being overly trendy. That's not a good thing for logo design. You always have to be unique. So let's do this. Right, now this is where it gets interesting. To create that seamless flow, you'd have to interconnect the different tiles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the glasses, right? Move it over to the other side. But now I'm going to shift it back so I can continue the piece that was cut off. So like this, now you can see the glasses, the part that was cut off flows back into the main, into the third slide. I can zoom in to make sure that everything is actually aligned. So this is not, so I'll just bring it down like that and I'm good. Awesome. So 2, being overly trendy. So let's find an image that can work with that. I got this alien ship that I think is cool because I mean, why not? It's interesting. People would like to look at it. I'm going to push it so part of it is cut off to repeat the same formula. Leave it like this. Let's go back and create a third one. So copy, drag over, repeat the same thing. Change the text to 3. change the text to 3, and the third one would be something like forgetting. Okay, 3, let's see, forgetting your true audience. And I'm always going to add a different color, like the same yellow, to throw emphasis on certain words. It makes it easier for people to read every single thing because of the type of font we're using. So now again, copy the alien ship, paste it on the other one, drag it until it snaps and it looks great here. So like I said, I'm gonna go in and make it match. So here you notice that there's the bars overlapping, right? That means it's not aligned. So I have to just bring it back and connect it like this. Awesome. So now you see, sometimes you have to pay attention to these little things. Helps you get things done properly. Come back, forward and back and forward and back and forward and back until you're able to match it to look seamless. Now zoom back out. Forgetting your true audience, let's find something that can fit, maybe some seats from the cinema. So don't worry, I've already pre-downloaded all these images, and I'm keeping all the images 3D so we can have the consistency in how they look. So I'm gonna put these seats right here in the corner, again repeating the same principle where they overlap into the other frame. So for the last page, you can thank everybody who read it and give them a call to action. So I'll say thanks for sticking around. Looks good. Excuse me, my phone just keeps pinging. I gotta check who that is. And again, don't forget the color, just to create a separation. Just the thanks. There you go. Thanks for sticking around. And now you can do something fun with this. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a call to action, and I'm going to say, follow me for more tips every Saturday. Now I'm going to reduce the size of the font, maybe 10 points. Follow me for more tips every Saturday. Yeah, I like that. I guess we didn't use this. So we have all our 7 images and it looks great. Now to the most important part. This is the part where you export the footages so you can put it on your Instagram. So all you're going to do is just close down all your artboards on your layer panel down here, and you're going to see that you have this total number of artboards. Then you're going to select everything by clicking on the first one, holding down Shift and clicking on the last one. Then you're going to right click and select quick export as PNG or quick export as. Instagram takes PNGs, they take JPEG, so I never really worry about exactly which one I'm selecting. It's okay to select PNG as long as you have backgrounds in there, which we do. That's the green. So click PNG and it's going to give you the option. So now find the location you're going to save it. So let's say my work project, let's say YouTube, and put it there. Go and find it, work project, YouTube. Now you have it. For the second version of the Instagram carousel, here's another example of what we're going to create. For the second style, it usually works for photographers who want to join longer images and make them look interesting. We're going to repeat the same process, 1080 by 1080, 1080 by 1080, and done. Again, come back, create your ad board, drag it around. Now you have your ad board. And duplicate again. For this, I think I'm going to be using just 2 layers because I want to join 2 long images, bring them until they touch, and go and bring in my image. So this is the photograph that I want to put in there. It's a picture I took for a client a few weeks ago, and I would want to have the entire picture just sort of fit on one carousel, because when I put it in, it's a landscape shot, so when I put it inside my Instagram is going to be like this, and I want to get rid of the top white area and the bottom white area. So now I want this image to fit across 2 different posts, so when you slide you can see the entire picture. So I'm going to scale it up so it covers both of the images, and when I have the frame that I need, I'm going to press enter. Now the same thing, you copy and you paste on the other side, and you just make sure you match the footage, so like that. I zoom in, and oh, this thing didn't connect properly. And guys, you really have to make sure you connect them properly. And now that it's connected properly, I just move around, and that looks like, does that look connected? Oh, right, this is it. Yes, this is it. So now it's connected. Now when I zoom out, you can't even tell in Photoshop that there are 2 different images, and that's it. So for this one, it's rather simple, rather straightforward, and you can decide to add a 3rd image and do something cool. So let's say I'm going to add a 3rd image, and this time the 3rd image might not exactly be a continuation of this picture. However, it could be a whole new picture of the same space. So let's put a different picture of the space there, but we're going to find a nice way to link the 2. So now that I have this here, and this is a trick I learned from Dana did it on YouTube, which is super cool, I guess. So just try and find a connection between these 2 images. So let's say I'm going to pick a second picture of a different angle of the building, drag it over, and overlay that at a spot where I think it would look good. So let's say I'm going to put it down here, right? And again, I'm going to connect the 2, drag it over to the left, and make sure they are aligned. So something like this. And yep, they are aligned. Just to be on the safer side again, just connect it again, scroll down, and where'd it go? Oh, there it is. And look at it. Yep, it looks aligned. So now that I have these 3 images, I can go ahead and export. So the same thing, close it down, click, 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 right click, export as PNG, put it in a different space or in the same space. As long as you can find it, you're good, and open. So if you're done exporting, you can go back to that space where you saved it, check, and you should see the images appear, over there, individual or cut up for you. Now you can just go and upload them into Instagram. And for the final part of the video, we're going to upload the images into Instagram to see if they actually worked. So open up Instagram, try and post a picture, and let's start with the carousel. So I'm going to pick the first image, tap on this button here to activate the carousel, pick the rest of the images. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the final image. Just because I'm testing, I'm going to give it any random caption like test and upload. So share. Okay, so now let's try scrolling to see if it actually works. So you scroll 1, scroll 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6. So everything looks seamless because the background is the same color, so it looks like just a long stretched page, and everything works except this side. If you noticed, the seats didn't join properly. This is what I was saying earlier about making sure the artboards are connected and not overlapping. This was clearly overlapping, so this is something you have to look out for. But if that was done correctly, you wouldn't have seen that mistake. So that's it. You've created your seamless Instagram carousel. Let's check out the other one as well. So let me delete this before people actually see it. I'm gonna post the second one. So that's one. Click the carousel icon again. Second picture, third picture, and then post. Test again and share. Again, you scroll through and you notice you can't even tell the difference. If you zoom in all the way to the corners, everything is joined properly. Now this is where we have two separate images, but because of the overlapping image right here, you still get that seamless feel because it's moving from one image to the other. So test, and I think it looks good. So there you have it. All right then, that's it. Now you can use the same principles in different apps that allow you to create artboards. Try and experiment with different fonts, colors, images, styles, anything you can think of. I also added a template so you can download it, and don't forget to tag me when you finally use it to create your beautiful carousel. My name is Joshua Cleavers, and thank you so much for watching the video to the end. If you enjoy the type of content that I create, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and like. Share this with your friends and family who might find this useful, or any Instagram user who's trying to up the game of their content flow. Thank you so much, and catch you next time.